Are you thinking about buying a home in 2024? Or maybe you purchased in 2023 with a rate of 7 or 8? Well, we are going to dive into all the projections for the 2024 purchase and potential refinance market, looking at interest rates and housing prices right after this. All right, that dream of 3% mortgage rates. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen for a very, very long time. So during COVID in 2021 specifically, we saw those what I call generationally low interest rates. We saw every mechanism of the government and the markets artificially manipulating rates down. So what do we foresee these rates? Obviously, is talking about the projections before. We're going to likely see lower mortgage rates, but we'll likely not see anything that's getting close to those threes anytime soon. Now, the big question is, if you're potentially looking to purchase in 2024, should you wait maybe to the end of 2024 to see those potentially lower interest rates? What is that threshold for you? So here's my hypothesis. Again, I'm in the greater Chicagoland area, so my market is going to be definitely different than, say, Florida, which I'm licensed in as well. But with that said, in this metro market, I believe we're going to see considerable buyer activity if rates move down to that flat 6, maybe even 6.5. I think headlines and media are going to pick up that news, and that is going to create a little bit of a buzz that we're now down off these lower interest rates, 1-2% below what we hit in 2023. That will create more buyer activity. That will create more buyer demand. Now, we still have low inventory in this market. That is not solving itself. So we could potentially see, say, 5 borrowers or 5 buyers going out there for that one property, when right now we potentially see 1 or 2. Now, it's still a seller's market because the inventory is low, but we have less buyer demand now going into winter. Chicago winter's a ton of fun, let me tell you. Now, with that said, that's my hypothesis. Like, what will we see in terms of buyer activity in 2024? If you go back to that projection and we see rates between 6 and 6.5 right off the gate into the spring market, that could be a very interesting 2024 year. We could see mortgage volume increase significantly, and we could potentially see those 62% of homeowners have a mortgage rate of less than 4%. So we could see some of those 62% start to put their house on the market, even though they have that low interest rate. Maybe they need that extra bedroom, that home office, that backyard if they're having kiddos or dogs or whatever it may be, right? So those people have significant pent-up demand in my mind, but when will they actually come into fruition into the market? So time will tell on that one, but if you're thinking about buying in 2024, here's how I could summarize it. The market will likely be dictated by the interest rates. Not an actual answer, I get it. But if we see those interest rates go down, we see a lot of headlines, and we see rates between that 6, 6.5, and a lot of media, helping kind of put fuel on the fire, it is going to be a very healthy market in terms of buyers going out, high buyer demand, and potentially appreciating prices. My top tip for you, if you are thinking about buying 2024, is consider looking at purchasing now. Why not look at 2023? Why not look at these last end of the year, the beginning of 2024? Again, in my market, we see a significant slowdown in terms of transactions. Now, if you could be 1 or 2 buyers that's going into a property, I'm always under the contention, the hypothesis that if you've got your property for sale in November, December, January, you are a motivated seller. You absolutely need to get rid of that property. If you're putting it on in the summertime, you may be just kind of pecking that beak into the edge of the water there, putting that tippy toe in, right? Just seeing, hey, let's see if we get a crazy offer if somebody's interested in this thing. You might not be full-fledged, I'm serious, I got to get rid of this thing. You go in and see a vacant property in November going into Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I'm going to bet you they are thinking about a price drop, or they are really pushing hard to get rid of that property before the end of the year. So there's a lot of motivated sellers. So something to consider if you're thinking about buying a property next year. Now, if you purchased in 2023 and you saw a rate with a 7 or an 8, well, this is the same concept. Why not buy now? Well, you did. Congratulations. You likely have already seen some appreciation, small amount of appreciation in 2023. We'll likely see more appreciation, at least in small, 1, 2, 3, 4% increments in 2024. And then you could be looking at a refinance by summer. Now, do I truly think if I was putting all my money on the table of where interest rates are going to actually lower, we're going to see significant refinance activity? That's probably late 2024 if I was, pushing the chips into the middle of the table here. But I do think that time is coming within the next 18 months. Now let's wrap up with housing prices. What is the 2024 projection for actual housing prices? Well, I'm going to take you onto the screen here. And as you can see, we've got Fannie Mae that is looking at a 2.8% increase. Mortgage Bankers Association 1.1, National Association of Realtors 0.7. We've seen the housing price forecast anywhere between that 5% and 0%. So again, as I was talking about before, that 0 to single digit percentages, we're likely going to see an average, at least in these entities, of 1-2%. And then we're likely going to see, if you notice there on the screen, or you saw before, is that we're still seeing in Q4 of 2023 housing price appreciation of 2, 3, 4%. So overall, all the signs point to the house being worth more in the future. Interest rates potentially coming down off these kind of newly historic highs in 2023. Now, is now a good time to buy? I'd love to hear your comments below. I gave you my hypothesis. I think there's going to be more buyers, and it's going to potentially drive up prices, and it's going to be more competitive and more difficult. But I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts? If you've made it this far in the video, I'd be forever grateful. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and click that bell icon to be notified as I'm putting out weekly videos on the channel. Over 97% of my viewers are not subscribed, so click that subscribe button. All right, stay safe, and we'll see each other again very, very soon.